All right, I'm just gonna get right into it. For the majority of places, hotels are gonna be more expensive than hostels, even if you're looking at the private rooms in hostels. However, I do wanna caveat that in some cities and specific areas, hostels can be comparable to hotels. So keep that in mind. Of course, the hostel's for private rooms. If you're having to share your room with 6 or 10 people in a hostel, it shouldn't really be comparable to a hotel. At that point, it should be significantly cheaper. But in this video, again, I'm gonna discuss having your own private room and probably private bathroom in a hostel to a hotel. Secondly, where you're gonna be able to get the hotel is gonna be affected, obviously. So if you want a hotel closer to the center of the city, it's gonna be pricier usually. And the further out you are, it's gonna be a little bit cheaper. So once again, you're gonna have to take into account what matters to you. Are you going to be going into the city most days? Are you going to be taking tours where the tour company is going to pick you up so you don't actually care? Are you someone who is going to want to go out at night and socialize there in the city? Or are you kind of an early bird and you're going to go to sleep anyways? So in short, is a hotel just a place for you to come and sleep? Or is it going to be kind of your center of gravity and that's where you're going to be exploring the city from? Because if that's the case, you might want to be closer to the city center. Another consideration with hotels is, are you looking to socialize with other travelers, specifically solo travelers or people who are also open to socializing? Typically, when you're staying at a hotel in another country, people are kind of just gonna go about their day and not really pay any mind to the people around them because either they're with family or friends, or they are staying at a hotel because they want their own space. They're not necessarily looking to socialize a bunch. If you're the type of person where you go to another country and you're there to explore, you're not really big on the social aspect, but just going and seeing the places and being alone, then a hotel might also get another point from you. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the pros and cons of getting a private room in a hostel. So I've stayed in quite a lot of hostels, I think, at this point, but I've only really mostly stayed in private rooms. Once or twice I've been in a room with other people, but the majority of my experience has been having my own restroom and room in a hostel. For myself, the reason I typically do that is I feel that I'm in a point in my life where I would like to have the option to socialize with other people and be around people that are open to that and receptive, but I also need to have the option to kind of recharge and get my social battery back by being alone. I think that if you're similar, obviously, maybe a hostel and a private room will be good for you. Another pro of being in a hostel is that typically, even if the hostel is right in the city center, it's gonna be pretty reasonably priced compared to a hotel right in the city center. So if you want to be next to the metro lines and you also want to be a little bit more cost effective, I think a hostel is a great option for that. For me personally, I also feel that staying in a hostel for some reason gives me a better sense of safety. If someone is following me or I feel like someone might be, it is a little bit comforting for me to know that if I walk into a hostel at any time of day, for the most part, there's gonna be people awake and socializing, and God forbid I need help or I don't feel comfortable, there will be other people around. Whereas if I go into a hotel, a lot of the times the lobby might be empty, sometimes the front desk is somewhere else, they're not standing there. So it can definitely be a little bit less daunting if you feel more comfortable that there are other people around, specifically if you're gonna be out at night and you come back late. That is something to consider. Something else about hostels that is a pro is that typically you can, obviously the socializing aspect of it, you can find someone who might be doing the same thing as you, and then you can have someone that you kind of venture out with, or you hear about certain events or tours from the people around you, and that's less likely to happen in a hotel. Now for the cons of hostels. So obviously they might be a little noisier. So depending on who is staying there, hostels tend to skew a little bit younger. And depending on the time of year, it might be spring break or New Year's. So if you're someone who needs a lot of peace and quiet, even staying in a private room in a hostel, you're not gonna necessarily get the quiet aspect of it. So it can be fine if you're not too bothered by the noise. Another con can be, obviously, it is a hostel, so it's going to be a hostel-like amenities, and the room is not going to be comparable to like a 5-star hotel, obviously. So that is something that you want to keep in mind. So hopefully that paints a little bit of a better picture for y'all. I think all in all, right now, for me personally, where I am in my life, I like to have the option to be alone and recharge, but I also want the option to socialize and get to know what people around me are doing and hear about new activities, or be able to get lunch with a stranger and just see what they're about and why they're visiting, and maybe it'll give me some ideas for my visit. I'm just kind of in that phase of life. But if you are someone who really needs total privacy and you don't want to be bothered, or if somebody comes up and starts a conversation with you, it might irk you, a hotel might be a better option. I feel like the vibe in hostels is typically more, people are open to starting up a conversation. And if that's not something you're really wanting and you're there more to focus on, whatever you're there for, the architecture, the food, and you just want to be solo, definitely go for the hotel. I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do a quick short video to kind of talk about that. And this might be so dumb from my end, but for a long time, I wasn't even aware that you could have a private room in a hostel. So for me, it's been a really great option, and I am so happy I found out about that, because it really gives me the best of both worlds. So I hope this was helpful for y'all, and I will continue to create more videos with travel tips, and comment below if you have any specific requests. And if I have experience with it, I'll definitely make a video talking about it. Bye.